First things I noticed was dirt on this camshaft, which worries me. There's dirt in there, which worries me. Used to be sealant right along that edge. You can't pay too much attention to the oil because the oil has spilled on afterwards. There doesn't seem to be a lot of sealant along that edge. In fact, that looks almost clean of sealant. I think that's where it's been leaking from, is down the back here. That's one of the two studs. Not a lot of soil. There should be O-rings in each of these. The O-rings are missing. I'm going to take out one of the camshafts. Okay, I'm seeing a little discoloration in some of the bearings, some of the cams. I don't think it's a great deal to worry about, at least I hope not. And this very end one, very slight wear, I think. The bearing cups themselves look in fine order though. Yeah, I don't see any problems with them. I think we're going to let it go as is. All that face needs to be cleaned off. What I'm thinking about right now, in case you're wondering, is if I take these camshafts off, how do I know inlet from exhaust? The inlet is what I've taken off at the moment. But if I take the exhaust out, will I get them confused? So he does it anyway. Right, for me this is as far as it goes in terms of strip down. From here on in it's cleaning and rebuild. I just wanted to make a few comments about the removal of the cylinder head. For anybody who's removed a cylinder head before, from here on in it is straightforward. There's one word of caution I would absolutely give though. These channels going down to the cylinder head bolts are right next to the cam bearings, yeah, and the extended tool I used did cause an issue by catching on the edge of those bearings and causing a bit of an issue. It was causing the metal to ride up, pressing against it. Now I had to take a file over it and rub it back down again to make sure that there was no metal interfering with the bearing. You can see the kind of jagged edge on that. If I kind of give you a bit of shadow, maybe you can see it better. But that's all it needs, is those bolts to be removed, the exhaust on the far side to be unclamped, the inlet manifold on this side to be removed. The injector rail itself needs to be disconnected, but it doesn't actually need to be taken off to remove the cylinder head. If you're trying to remove these, because all you need to do for the injector rail is these three bolts. Remove those and the injector rail should pull out, pulling the injectors with it. Other than that, as I say, inlet manifold, which is just bolted into place. I have a problem with one of my bolts that's the thread is stripped, but it doesn't affect it at all. The exhaust manifold is quite difficult to reach down behind. This pipe, second inlet pipe, has to come out. That's clamping onto the inlet for the turbocharger at the back there. It's also helpful if you remove this shielding at the back here. As you can see, mine's quite worn and loose and isn't held in very well, but it does give you a bit more hand room if you take that out of the way It's just some little plastic nuts that hold it in place. The exhaust manifold is held in by studs. You don't need to remove the entire exhaust. Once the exhaust manifold's off, the inlet manifold's off, the cylinder head bolts undone, it will just lift off. The other thing I would say is that the cylinder head is quite a good way back from the front of the car. You may want to get a friend to help you lift the cylinder head up, but it is quite a way from the left hand side of the car as well. There's that huge gap to try and reach across to lift the cylinder head from that side. Not so difficult from this side. You are also lifting it at a slight angle. It is lifting away from you, slightly backward, because the engine is tilted at a reverse angle, and there are a couple of oil feeds and locators onto the cylinder onto the cylinder block that locate the cylinder head, but they're not as big as these studs here. They're smaller than that. They're more like dowels. Right, I've removed the rubber O-rings. There's still a little bit of sealant on them. I'll give those a clean up before I finally use them. A little rubber O-ring on here as well, which hopefully will just stretch off over there. There we go, that's that off. Just watch that there's a certain way up that it needs to go. I wonder if that will come out of there. Maybe not. Flip it over. There's a sensor held by a Torx thread. We'll take that sensor out. I wonder if these are identical. Good idea to check. Yep, both the same sort of sensor. A slight bit of damage to that. Not enough, I hope, to cause a problem. So, a T30. Oh, that's a bit tough. Can't undo it. Okay. Stood it upright, up its end. Managed to get it loosened. Oh, might want to get a little mallet here. Tap it out. Oh no, that comes out by itself, no problem. Give that a clean up. Now finally the other cam sensor. Come on, out you come. It's typical, isn't it? There we go. Right, that's both sensors out. I think what I might do is give this going over with gunk. Give it a good clean down, try and get rid of all this filth in here. Make it nice before we go on and clean up those faces. Yeah. Right, we've given it a going over with some gunk, taking the worst of the dirt off. Cleaned out all the dirt from the oil. Oh, crankcase pressure. Whatever it's called. I've given it a good clean out now. A little bit of water lying about it, not too worried about that, that will dry out over its own time. At least the worst of the dirt's off. Now I have to work to get rid of this old sealant, which bizarrely seems to have covered very well here, mostly. I mean, everywhere there is a skin, perhaps not that far corner. That looks a bit weak. Maybe along here as well. That corner's very red. This corner maybe looks a bit thin. But in any case, oh look. Oh, I think that is. I think that's oil. I think that's where oil's been forcing its way past. Right, next thing. Is to start applying this seal remover. Let's see if we can strip this back. Quickly, but let's have a look and see what it does. Well, that's impressive straight away. It doesn't seem to do anything. It's not working. It's certainly not what I expected. I kind of expected that it would just eat its way through this in zilch time. No, not doing that. Not doing that at all. The cloth is rubbing away nicely, but this is not lifting. I have to go across this with a razor blade, which looks likely. I think it's going to take a hell of a long time to do. I think I'm going to have to do it with a razor blade. I've been trying to use a razor blade to clean up these edges, but I'm not very happy with the matte surface that's coming out here. It's really a little bit rough. Scouring pads, that's the name of it, scouring pads. Look, now we're cooking. Now what I want to do is add a little lubricant to this. Add a little lubricant to it just to stop it from scratching against the surface quite so much. Oh, it just so happens oil. Ha ha ha, beautiful. Might run a little drill bit down in these oil holes just to make sure they're clear. I was in the middle of cleaning up the rocker cover. Unfortunately my battery went flat on my camera. I didn't want to stop work, so I went and put the battery on charge and I carried on with the cleaning up process. I have taken some still shots, but I believe this surface is now pretty clean, ready for reuse. I went over it with a brush, cleaned out all the oilways and valleys to make sure there's no debris in there, and I also cleaned up the cylinder head itself. So hopefully this is all ready now to put the sealant on. I'll have to put the camshafts back in, lock them together, and then the rocker cover, put sealant on there and put the rocker cover back on. The reassembly, gentlemen and ladies, has begun.